High up in the Tusheti mountains, where lush meadows spread not only across the valley floors but also wrap their softness around the slopes of hills, the lower ones, of course, tucked between the sharp, bare peaks of the Caucasus, silence has its own rhythm. The grass sways gently in the mountain breeze, the warmth of the sun harmonizes on the skin with the crispness of the high-altitude air. A stream murmurs in its bed, cutting through the valley some meters to the right, and amidst this idyllic setting, a flock of sheep, scattered across the hillside and even along the grey, railway-traveled gravel road of this remote part of Tusheti, creates a scene almost painterly, serene, pastoral, timeless. I decided to stop here for a moment and immerse myself in this landscape, taking you with me, just for a while. It's one of those moments that defines this journey. Direct contact with the natural rhythm of this place, its rawness and its softness alike. A routine that for us, those who live in the constant churn of civilization, may at first seem dull, so repetitive, so limited in its stimuli, moving slowly and predictably, and yet, after only a brief while, you realize how deeply peaceful it truly is. I enter this landscape hesitantly, first walking along the road, then stepping down into the meadow. I hold the camera low, at the level of the grazing sheep around me, so you can experience this place from their perspective. The sound of my footsteps and the sight of the strange camera setup in my hand spooks a few of them. They move away cautiously, but don't flee in panic. They keep a safe distance, as if reluctant to leave these delicious pastures, they stay alert. A few of them stop, lift their heads. They watch, quietly, attentively, with a hint of curiosity, as if trying to understand who this figure is, the one who doesn't just pass by, but instead tries to come closer. I'm there not to disturb their world, but to share it with others. There are, of course, moments like this during any journey. The green slopes of the mountains, just recently bathed in the sunlight, now bear the weight of the sky. Clouds, heavy with moisture, slow and shapeless, no longer drift about the ridges. Instead, they rest upon them. Mountain greenery drips with their burden, as if every traverse and stretch of hillside were soaking in this suspended mist of water and cold light, trapped over the landscape like a wet curtain. The blue sky has vanished. What remains is an endless grey, thick, soft and silent. Or maybe not entirely silent, because the valley now pulses with a single rhythm, the steady, hypnotic tapping of rain. It's not a storm or downpour, rather a whisper of water falling from the sky, wrapping everything in its gentle hush. The trees stop swaying, insects fall quiet, even the stream seems to soften under the thin layer of new water. The landscape stands still, not from fear but surrender. As if nature itself were holding its breath, trying to feel this moment more deeply, when the mountains accept the weight of clouds and the whole world slows. It's the perfect moment to stop, the perfect moment to savor something local. In the only small roadside tavern I came across for perhaps a dozen kilometers, I bought some local beer. A cloudy, brownish, fizzy drink poured in a regular 2-liter plastic bottle. After hours of bouncing over rough tracks, the beer was obviously heavy carbonated. Opening the bottle quickly was out of the question. You can imagine how that would have ended. A foaming geyser erupting from the bottleneck, coating everything in its path with sticky beer rich with the scent of hops and malt. The moment would last only seconds, but the aftermath, soiled clothes, sticky hands, and a half-empty bottle would linger. So I decided to be careful, but the pressure was intense and didn't want to let go. I didn't want to waste the foam on the thirsty soil, so I poured it carefully into a cup to minimize the loss. Said and done. If you'd like to know more about the place I'm in, check out the video displayed on the right. It's a part of the 2T episode I filmed here the following day, part of the parallel series created alongside this immersive experience. I really encouraged you to watch the full series. Georgia is an incredibly beautiful country. Imagine the time when people lived in these remote mountains year-round. Imagine the brutality of those times, when survival meant building fortified towers in near inaccessible places. Imagine their resilience, their unyielding spirit, allowing them to endure here, living in small, tight-knit groups, constantly facing the threat of sudden, treacherous raids that brought pillage, violence, and often death. Yet, these shepherds and warriors remained, for centuries, aligned their lives with the rhythm of nature and the ever-present need to defend themselves from northern invasions. Each family had its own tower, sometimes more than one, built to withstand sieges for days. Narrow entrances placed above ground, tall, thick walls, and clever interflow passageways made them nearly impregnable fortresses. Today, after centuries of turbulent history, only ruins remain, silent reminders of a harsher past and the lives lived within those stone walls. We are now in Girevi, located in Georgia's Kakheti region within the Takitepa municipality, part of the historic Pirikita community. It lies about 50 kilometers from Omalo on the left bank of the Pirikita-Lazani River. Historically, Girevi was home to several Tush families until it was abandoned during the Soviet-era purges. North of Girevi, there are no more villages, only mountain passes, wild valleys, and fading traces of ancient shepherds' trails leading toward the Russian border, just a few kilometers away in a straight line. For those who venture this far, Girevi is the last point of contact with civilization, a quiet post before the journey continues into the true untamed wilderness of the Caucasus Mountains. When the mountains wrap themselves in clouds and ray tops evenly against the awning stretched beside my car, my world slows too. There's no rush, no need to go farther. Everything important now fits into this small pocket of space. The chill and dampness of the grey valley, the patter of rain, a soft seat and an iPad filled with photos. I sit in front of the car, wrapped in the silence of this valley that has fallen into a kind of suspension. I scroll through images from recent days, scenes that are already beginning to shape themselves into a story. I edit them, crop them, adjust them, but really, I'm just reliving them. It's like rewinding a film inside your head, only this time accompanied by rain. An evening like this needs nothing more, just peace, the sound of rain, and a few images from the journey that still linger behind my eyes. Places like this offer something that's becoming increasingly rare in our civilized world, complete disconnection from the outside. There's no signal here, no way to sync into social media, none of the overwhelming noise of constant information that waits on us every day. It's just me, the rain, and the memories awakened by the images I've captured. And I probably don't need to tell you, in moments like this, a simple beer tastes absolutely perfect. And this is Fashani National Park, a place where I stopped at the far southern-east edge of Georgia, right by the border with Azerbaijan. Reaching this spot during the dry season is already something of a challenge, one that with cautious and mindful driving is very much achievable. But in the rainy season, or after one of the sudden downpours that sometimes strike this land, access becomes nearly impossible. This area still rarely finds its way into tourist plans. Its semi-desert canyons, barren plateaus and savannas covered in dry grass form a landscape that resembles Cappadocia in Turkey or even Mars, more than Georgia of guidebooks and familiar photos. There's virtually no tourist infrastructure. A few hundred meters from here you'll find some simple bungalows, bookable only after notifying authorities of your intention to enter this area. A mandatory step, but don't expect any comfort or amenities. To come here, you must be self-sufficient. Bring your own water, food and fuel if you're arriving by car. And watch out for snakes. Those bungalows are perhaps the only structure built with visitors in mind, apart from a couple of viewing platforms. During my 2-day stay and more than 200 kilometers driven off-road through the park, I didn't come across a single other place to sleep under a roof that wasn't my own. But that's exactly why I love it here. I love the emptiness. I love that here you remember what true freedom feels like. Not the loud, showy kind, but the quiet kind, deeply rooted in space and stillness. This is a place where you don't hear human voices because there are none. No traffic, no marked trails, no noisy groups with cameras. Instead, nothingness, silence, nature that speaks in whispers. Or perhaps not quite silence, because if you listen closely, you hear that the steppe is very much alive. Among the dry grasses, sun scorched all day and now slowly cooling with dusk, amid scarred shrubs and twisted dwarf trees, millions of crickets and countless birds begin their symphony. Their rhythmic chirping and melodic songs fill the air, carried by the wind through valleys and plateaus. It's like the heartbeat of this land, constant, hypnotic, alive. Out here, the silence of the steppe becomes almost a kind of noise, and within that sound, you stop being a mere observer. You sink into the vastness, into the scent of dust, the murmur of the Alazani River winding just nearby, into the sandy hills that claw at the smooth line of the horizon. Slovenia doesn't offer picture-perfect scenes. You have to seek them, feel them, hear them. Because here, every hour spent in solitude carries more meaning than entire days lived in the crowded world. It's a harsh land, but a generous one. It doesn't demand anything. It doesn't speak loudly. It only asks that you be present and willing to truly listen. And so, once again, in the middle of nowhere, I set up my little camp. Evening was approaching, but the air still carried the weight of an unbearably hot day. It was still nearly 30 degrees Celsius. I opened all the 10 windows, hoping for a breeze to cool me as I fall asleep. Exhaustion, the heat, and the sight of approaching soldiers on the horizon made me rush a bit. While setting up the awning, I forgot to take out the spreaders from the casing. Without them, the structure can't stand on its own. I fumbled trying to do everything quickly, knowing the soldiers were coming to check my documents and I wouldn't be able to show them anything while struggling with a collapsing awning.
Give me a minute, gentlemen.
Hello.
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 I got papers. I will show you in a minute.
But the soldiers turned out to be very helpful. They held the awning up while I reached for the rods, and one of them even began fastening the Velcro straps that secure the canopy.
Thank you.
While I fetched my documents, a man took interest in my gear.
This is camera.
It records. I will show you later.
I really wanted to show them the effect of the footage I was capturing. As they were checking my papers, I adjusted the canopy properly, tightening the fabric and securing the fasteners.
This has road problem you. Yes and no. I have a little problem with the drive shaft. So on the very steep, I had some.
Road finish.
No, that's okay.
This car.
No.
No, no.
There was a problem with somebody else?
No problem.
Okay.
Very nice car.
Let me show you one thing.
When one of the soldiers handed back my permission, he asked if I had trouble getting here by car. I had the feeling he was asking about a specific section of the road, but I didn't fully understand. I asked if someone else had had problems here, but he seemed to think I was asking whether there is any problem, and simply replied, "Problem no." I was curious to see the reactions to the immersive format I was working with. I had brought my VR headset to review raw footage during the trip. It was the first time I had ever filmed this way, and I had a few clips stored directly on the headset. So I decided to let them experience this immersive world for the very first time in their lives. There was a bit of a language barrier, and I wasn't sure if they would understand what I was trying to show or how to start the video inside the headset. So I prepared everything so the clip would start with a single click. I really wanted to capture the reaction on camera, I hoped the first soldiers would stand in the right place, but as it turned out, his first encounter with VR happened just out of frame.
Just point it on the play and press this one when you play. When you
Yeah,
point on
cover.
the play the laser.
არა მე მაქვს ერთი მოხდა
You got it moving?
ბოსო სამთელები შენ გაქვს
არა.
არა მაქვს
ჩემ შავ ჩანთაში მოძებნოს იქ.
ბოსტომ ჩემს შავ ჩანთაში მოძებნოს იქნებაო
As I feared, the footage didn't start right away, but on the second try, everything worked perfectly. The video showed horses near Kazbegi.
Play.
Play this one. Yeah.
Okay. Kazbegi da?
Yeah. When you move your head, you will watch like, you know, from all sides.
გაგისორდა
Okay?
Very nice.
So this camera records this. You want
This
that?
this camera?
This right here.
Wow.
მოიტავა
Yeah.
ეს შემახე
Just let me.
იმანდო გაკეთოს
Wait.
When showing the experience to the second soldier, I gently guided him closer to the camera to record his reaction. I queued up the next clip and let him dive in.
ჩართე მაგით მე რე.
ამი
მაი წინ გამოსაკრა ვიგე, ხო?
This one I was stuck. Ah, there's something wrong.
It seemed it would be easier this time. The first soldier could now explain how it worked, but even so, the video didn't launch on the first attempt.
წინდა, ხო, აქედან. დაუმიზნე გაგრძელებას და ჩართე მაგა.
ამი
ხო.
Fortunately, on the second try, it
ყაზბეგში
did.
ის არის?
Now is a different one.
no ყაზბეგი. სადა ხარ მოყევი?
აბი წამანქანი თიმაჟო აწ ბუქსირო
ხო.
The expression of his face,
ამოდის რა
which sadly isn't visible to you, was priceless.
რა კაცი გაიჩინე
The footage I showed him captured the moment I was recovering my vehicle from the muddy terrain of the Truso Valley, a scene you can find in one of the earlier episodes.
nice car ბუდიმენ ტროშოტ კარ კაი გამოგახდი მინა რა ლაფშია ხილი იო თითქოს და იმენა აქ ხარ ზა იმენა აქ ხარ
This your
Yeah, I did.
photo, yes?
thank you
Welcome.
oh my god
This internet, no.
Ah, you can.
I go in home.
Yeah, okay.
We follow.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I'm good here, yeah.
I got one more thing for you. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Okay.
This cards, how dollar?
how much
Much dollar.
This one is very hardly modified, so it's hard to say. But like that. basic version, I would say 20,000 euro, but basic, just the standard one. Then you have to put things on, it's another one. Then you travel. Means some issues to repair.
And so, it happened that in the middle of vast, untouched wilderness, I found myself demonstrating cutting-edge visual technology to border patrol soldiers on a quiet evening patrol near the Azerbaijani frontier. There was something deeply symbolic in that moment, a collision of two worlds that were never meant to meet. On one side, a life unchanged for centuries, earth, wind, the setting sun, duty carried out in the same rhythms and settings generation after generation. On the other, technology capable of showing that same world from a new angle. A digital window into 3D recorded reality. The headset felt almost out of place, like someone had dropped a fragment of the future onto a weathered wooden table in a cabin with no electricity. A tool that transports a person elsewhere without them ever leaving the place. So advanced, it seemed to defy everything that's obvious here. A device that blurs the boundary between presence and storytelling. That moment will stay with me for a long time, because it was more than just a demonstration of gear. It was a meeting of worlds, the one I seek to document and those who protect it. A brief encounter, yes, but one charged with something profoundly human. And here they are, the mad volcanoes known as Takhti-Tepha, one of the most surreal places in all of Georgia, located in the far southern east corner of the country, right near the border with Azerbaijan. They emerge unexpectedly from the surrounding semi-desert landscape. Low vegetation, sun-scorched savannas and gentle hills create a constructing backdrop for the craters from which cold mud constantly bubbles to the surface. Unlike classical volcanoes, the eruptions at Takitepa aren't violent or dangerous. They're slow, almost hypnotic, rhythmic, quiet, and yet strangely unsettling. The mud, pushed up by the underground gas pressure, forms cones and puddles that reassemble the surface of a distant planet. In fact, this is often compared to Mars. The harsh textures, earthy colors, lack of life, and cosmic atmosphere make it easy to forget you're still on Earth. Getting to the volcanoes isn't easy. The terrain is demanding, poorly marked, and completely devoid of tourist infrastructure. In dry conditions, the road can be tricky but manageable with care. After rain, though, it turns muddy and in some places practically impassable. It's not a crowded spot, far from it. In fact, you'll most likely find no one here, and that's exactly where its power lies. The volcanic landscape of Takitepa is silence, space, and a deep sense of standing at the edge of the world. A place that still resists civilization and speaks more through its presence than through any words. for yourself how I capture this place in the final episode of my 2D series from this journey, available also on my channel. This is a magical place for me. This is my place on Earth. It's hard for me to explain, but the energy of this place resonates with mine in some inexplicable way. Being here, I feel an incredible inner peace. No racing thoughts, no urge to do something at all costs, no distractions pulling me away. It's just me, the silence all around, and the gentle bubbling sounds coming from these small mounds, capable of breaking through the overwhelming feel of calm that envelops me. I have to admit, I don't think there's another place on Earth that affects me quite like this one. The plateau stretches out to the horizon, raw and majestic like a fossilized sea that long ago turned to sand. Up close, the surface appears almost tranquil, like waves of earth frozen in stillness. The soft, harmonious lines of the canyons seems like echoes of the past, pressed gently into the sand. And if you rise just a little higher, the patterns turn sharper, wilder, more brutal. The plateau then looks like the giant skin of earth scarred by the enormous claws. And in the very heart of this stony desert lies something that feels like a miracle. A small patch of mud volcanoes and a narrow road leading to them, untouched, unbroken by the raging forces of nature. A tiny sanctuary of peace amidst the chaos. This is not a place you simply look at, it's a place you feel. I leave you alone with this place now. No music, no narration, just you and the stillness. Let yourself sink into the silence, broken only by gusts of wind, the soft plops of gas bubbles rising through the mud, and, unfortunately, the distant roar of jet engines overhead. That was something new here. A decade ago, this place offered only the pure sounds of nature. Today, even here, civilization finds its way in. We don't see it, but we hear it. The distant hum of airplanes miles above is a quiet reminder that the world is shrinking and that it's getting harder and harder to truly disconnect from what humanity has built. Still, I encourage you to seek out places like this while they still exist and while you still have the chance to truly be alone with nature. I hope this series has helped you do just that.